Get ready.
Hi, this is Kaz Riley, and this is the Hypnosis 247 Live Network, and this is Trancing in the Sheets. And today, I've got a very secretive and wonderful topic and a really wonderful lady to talk to about that. But before we go over to her, just to let you know that when you signed up to this network, you were sent a really wonderful, snazzy little link that can get you a $200 gift card that can get you money off vouchers for things like hotels and car hire at multiple destinations across the globe. What more could you want? You can also learn how those kinds of incentives can be used to help your business by simply putting the word solutions in the box below. So go ahead and do that, find out a bit more, and don't forget to activate your card because there's $200 there for you to be had. So this morning, I have got a super secretive lady. She's known as the secret subject. She is a certified clinical hypnotherapist, but describes herself as a YouTube hypnotist. She does all kinds of wonderful things, has over 18,000 followers on her YouTube channel, and I'm very happy and pleased to welcome Dylan, the secret subject, to the show this morning. Welcome to Trancing in the Sheets, Dylan.
Hello, it's really nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. As you know, one of the things that I love to do is to be extremely inclusive about all things hypnosis. So it's been really wonderful to have people from every genre of hypnosis on this show, and to find out what really all this stuff is about, because there's so many myths around erotic hypnosis, isn't there?
Absolutely. I'm constantly having to demystify the whole thing. I mean, that's why I started my YouTube channel in the first place. My number one goal on my YouTube channel is to demystify hypnosis and to make it less taboo for people who may not have experienced erotic hypnosis or hypnosis in general. So
well, this is it. I think the biggest taboos for erotic hypnosis actually probably come within the clinical hypnosis community. Being respectful to them, obviously, but I think often we hear the word erotic or sex and hypnosis, and then people make all kinds of assumptions, don't they? And actually, you know, there's a massive overlap between clinical hypnosis and erotic hypnosis. You know, is that something that you found too?
Absolutely. I know when I went to my first erotic hypnosis convention, which I love to attend, half of the people who attend are also certified hypnotists. So the fact that we're using this community, the erotic hypnosis community, to inspire other people to get certifications and to learn more about hypnosis is really cool. And I think it's such a shame when people from the clinical side of the community want to try and kind of oppress that. Because, you know, we're doing it because we love it. We're doing it because we're passionate about it. And we do it because it's fun, you know. And if we then go on to get certifications, I mean, why would people want to stop people from learning, you know, more about this?
Well, you know, I'm a big believer in the more people learn about hypnosis in general, you know, any kind of hypnosis, then the more hypnosis itself is lifted. And also the more people are trained to a high standard. And I think the assumption is that people are doing erotic hypnosis and they don't have good training. And yet I know many erotic hypnosis or hypnotists that are trained, you know, have, you know, really sound training and really sound skill set, because they do hypnosis a lot, and practice makes perfect, doesn't it, you know? And
absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, you know, one of the best ways to get really good at hypnosis is to play with it. And if there's one thing that the erotic hypnosis community are amazing at, it's just trying out new things. It's just playing with it. It's having no expectations. It's just kind of seeing what can happen and what the mind can do. And sometimes the results are absolutely spectacular, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think it's that freedom too, because we're not confined to a clinical space. We're not confined to that kind of that subset of like, you must follow these rules, otherwise you will get kicked from the society. So, you know, we can have a bit more freedom to try new stuff and go, okay, well, this might work if we do this, or this might work if we do that. and it's because it's a lot more play based and it's for fun. You know, you can do a lot more with it, I think.
Yeah.
Rather than being stuck in the box of this is the problem, here is how we'll find the solution. You know, so it's great.
Absolutely. And so many things are transferable. You know, obviously my area of speciality within clinical hypnosis is that of sexual freedom, which is about helping people to overcome hang-ups and get rid of fetishes that they don't want, sexual dysfunction, anorgasmia, all those kinds of things. And yet, you know, we can take so much that's been kind of devised, tried, tested, invented in the erotic hypnosis world and transfer that across, tweak it a bit, and then we get some really amazing clinical techniques that help people very actively in their sex lives, which I think is really super important. You know, I'm very thankful to everything that I've learned within the erotic hypnosis community and from the erotic hypnosis community, because it transfers, it does transfer beautifully over, not even for sexual things, just for fun things sometimes, you know, just, you know, when I look at some of the things that have come over, and it's just about, you know, when people are working erotically, that it's done with respect, isn't it? You know, it's done with consent and respect. So what kinds of things do you enjoy doing with erotic hypnosis?
Oh gosh, how much time do we have? Every time I do a live stream, everyone's like, yeah, you've gone on for an hour about this, can you stop? I'm like, but this is what I do. So basically, my channel is all about kind of experimenting different forms of hypnosis. People kind of know me as the fractionation person because I adore fractionation. I love a good fractionation induction. I love trying new things with it. I love experimenting with it and kind of using my YouTube channel as like a science ground to be like, okay, so we've done fractionation this way. How many other ways can we do it? I love combining kind of BDSM ideas with fractionation and hypnosis. I do a lot of things with kind of imaginary bondage and all that kind of stuff. My number one thing at the moment is hypnotic drug play, which is not to say that I advocate for drugs, because I definitely do not. I'm like the kind of person who's like, I've never done a drug in my life, but like chloroform's pretty hot. So, you know, so I do a lot of that, and kind of a lot of some of them, what my channel has been doing lately is people have been asking me for like, okay, so you have files on this, can you do more like fantasies that involve like scenarios and scenes that we can't play out in real life? So I love doing that, and I love providing people with a space to explore the kinks that they might have, but in a safe and fun and consensual way. Emphasis on the consensual things. Yeah.
And I so this is what I love about erotic hypnosis, because I'm just back from Hypnothoughts Live, one of the largest conventions in the world for all kinds of hypnosis. I attended a really great class actually by Melissa Tears, who's, you know, probably the leading female hypnotist in the world. And then that class was on psychedelics in hypnosis. So it was about, you know, she was talking about mind-opening experiences, how you can give somebody the experience of a trip or whatever it may be, using hypnosis. And yet we can see already, so we've got one of the, you know, the prominent female hypnotists in the world that's able to facilitate that clinically for people. And yet, and the same thing happening, as you're saying, things like you're doing in the erotic hypnosis world. And, you know, essentially it's the same thing, but, you know, because one's in a clinical setting and one's in the erotic setting, somehow one's kind of frowned upon and the other one's like, oh, that's really interesting. But both about opening people's minds, aren't they? And allowing them to explore themselves, what it is to be human, the feelings that they can get, the experiences that they can have.
Absolutely.
Just super cool. Just super cool. Yeah, and you know, and there are so many ways in which, you know, we see these things so separately, and yet I just see hypnosis. That's what I see, hypnosis, and the many ways in which we can use it. And even if we look at stage hypnosis, which is the other kind of hypnosis that we have, isn't
the other
it?
Taboo.
Well, it is, but it's kind of, you know, it's kind of further along than where erotic hypnosis is.
Oh, definitely.
But actually, you know, when we look at, now I know some amazing and great stage hypnotists that were, you know, they're not into the humiliation, you know, it's all fun stuff, it's all great. But when we look at erotic hypnosis, and in fact, compared to any other kind of hypnosis, I think that in terms of things like consent and respect and negotiation, actually every aspect of hypnosis can learn from that. But what
Absolutely.
it's something that I know it's something that you are passionate about, consent. So tell
Absolutely.
me more about that.
Yeah. So when I first started my YouTube channel, something that I noticed, because I started my journey as a sub, so I was a submissive for a really long time. I joined the BDSM community at 18. So I was a baby when I started this as a submissive. Hypnosis was my number one kink. I loved it. And through my experiences, I came across a lot of horrible like misunderstandings with consent, especially. A lot of the DOMs that I would play with would have like no like understanding of consent or negotiation or any of that. So as I started moving through the community, I started to realize that actually it's a really important step of everything, because if you come into this community as a new member and you know nothing about consent and people don't kind of tell you that that's not okay, you start thinking that it's okay to just have people do whatever they want, you know, and you start going into situations where you feel like you are powerless to stop them because they have the power in that dynamic. So when I started switching and I started making my YouTube channel, one of the things I was really passionate about is consent. And obviously, if there is something that I see in the community where it's the consent's not as great, I start thinking to myself, okay, so that's not very great. How do I make my practices absolutely high standard with consent practices so that nobody feels hurt, nobody abreacts to it, that people know exactly what they're getting when they play one of my files. I know way back in beginning of 2018, there was a massive Tumblr argument around consent, and especially with files. So audio files like the ones that I make on YouTube, and whether or not we actually needed better consent warnings for it. So before we make any files, a lot of what we will do is we'll put down, okay, so this is what's in the file, but we're now being much more, what I know for me especially, I'm being much more descriptive about what's exactly in it. You know, what are all the suggestions? What is everything that you need to know that is going to be in this file when you play this file? I've also become super cautious about how I word things now as well. After seeing all of that fallout, I just realized, oh my God, you know, I need to be so much more careful with how I word things. A lot of people always tell me, wow, I can't believe I listened to this file, and, you know, you always word it like, if you're in a safe place, if you're with people that you trust, you know, if your subconscious mind is okay with this. And if it's not, that's okay. You can get out of it. It's like your get out of jail free card, you know. I'm never going to make a file where people go under and then, you know, feel forced to do something, because that's just not my thing.
Well,
and I know,
sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I think
it's okay.
what you're addressing is one of the biggest myths in hypnosis. We're told, and I know I was taught clinically, you can't be made to do anything in hypnosis that you don't want to do. And of course you can, because in life you can be made to do things that you don't want to do. So when you're in a suggestible state, you know, you're even more likely to do something maybe that you don't want to do. So I think by having that knowledge, if we get rid of that myth, so that people are aware that those things can happen, then, you know, and then by having these conversations and by you doing things like putting all this stuff out there and being so ethical and so lovely with it and so careful, then, you know, all that does is lift hypnosis in general, doesn't it? You know, it lifts the whole field right across the board, so that, you know, people, we're starting to myth bust, because I don't know why, you know, we hear this all the time. I don't know if they worry that people will feel scared about hypnosis, but
probably,
you know, but then, you know, sometimes if we know some of the pitfalls, we can avoid them much more easily, can't we? You know?
And I always say to people, you can't be hypnotized to do things that you don't want to do. However, you can be manipulated into thinking that you want something that you don't want. So you really need to be careful about these things, you know. All it takes is somebody to just slowly push you, you know, into other things that you didn't think you wanted before, and now you think that you do. I've been in these situations myself personally. One of my first experiences in the community was really horrible. I was in an abusive relationship with a hypnotist who had no training whatsoever, and so I learned a lot from that. And I think that's what made me so passionate about educating people, about making sure that people just have the knowledge and the understanding that actually, you know, there are risks involved. And if we don't know what we're doing, then, you know, we could fall into these pitfalls and really do some damage to people. You know?
And I think, you know, I mean, what I tell people when they ask me about erotic hypnosis or any kind of hypnosis, actually, is that I say to them, view it in the same way that if you're going to make a friendship or have a relationship or do something, you know, hypnosis itself isn't bad. There's nothing bad about hypnosis. It's just sometimes there are people that use it in a bad way, just as there are people that are abusive, whether, you know, the person that that abusive relationship, that person was abusive, hypnosis or not, wasn't it? You know, it wasn't the hypnosis abusive, it was just being used in a way. And, you know, it's often, you know, I, as a clinical, I'll see people that will say, you know, I got into trouble with these hypnosis files, or, you know, there was this hypnotist online and, you know, they did this X, Y, and Z to me. And, you know, and I'll say, well, you know, and that those things do happen. And those people, you know, are victims and we need to help them. However, you know, I always say to them, they have a responsibility. If they're going to work with somebody in that way, they have a responsibility to make sure that they've at least checked out the person that they're working with. It's no good saying that horrible hypnotist made me do it. They need to make sure that they've done their research to whom they're allowing to hypnotize them. Absolutely. Is that something you've seen as well?
Oh yeah, tons of. One of my earlier files that I made at the beginning of 2018 was it's called the safety blanket. So it's like a blanket of safeties that you put around yourself so that when you do go into these situations, you feel more empowered as a submissive to be like, okay, I have the choice whether or not I would like the suggestion to go through. I have this blanket in place. You know, I know that if I don't want this, I don't have to have it. And I think it's super important to talk about. And I think even in the erotic hypnosis community, it's not talked about enough about the empowerment of the subject, of the person being hypnotized, and how that they also need to be reminded that, you know, this is your mind, this is your subconscious, you know, you have the control at the end of the day, and we're going to give you the power so that you can choose whether or not this is an experience you'd like to have. You know, and I think it just makes it better for everyone if you do it in kind of a safe and fun way, rather than if you're doing it in an unsafe and not so fun way, and then end up hurting somebody in the long run, or destroying somebody's kink that they thought they had that now they don't like anymore because, you know, they had this horrible experience.
No, absolutely. And that, you know, that's transferable into life, isn't it? You know, it's just being careful about what you do in life generally and making good choices and doing your research. You know, whatever that may be, you know, or any kind of relationship, you know, it's that. But I love the way how hypnosis can allow people to experience something, you know, and of course that's what we rely upon as clinical. So, you know, when you think about just a thing of future pacing somebody, you know, if we've been working them with a phobia or something, we then future pace them so that they can experience what life is like without that phobia. Of course, we can also do it with experiencing what it's like to have mega confidence, to enjoy a particular kind of experience, to be in a relationship. You know, I have people that, you know, are in their 40s and 50s and they've never been in a relationship and can't even get their head around that. So we can get them to experience that hypnotically, just to feel what that might feel like to have those kinds of dynamics with people.
Absolutely.
What kinds of people use erotic hypnosis?
There is no one type of person who uses erotic hypnosis. And I know that sounds like a stock answer that probably every erotic hypnotist will probably tell you, but if I look at my patrons, those are the people who fund my channel, all of them are different. There are males, there are females, there are people who are transgender. I have gay people, I have straight people, I have people from all over the person that does it. It's like in the kink community, you know, every time I go to an event with the kink community locally, I look around and nobody looks like me, you know. Nobody looks like the same person. Everybody is so different. There's people from different ages. I mean, I've met people at events and who are like in their 60s and 70s. I find people like myself who are in their 20s, you know? So, I mean, there's such a variance of people who do this. So it's
Absolutely.
really anyone. Yeah.
It really is. And that's why I asked the question, because I know when I look at some of the clinical forums, you know, they talk about erotic hypnosis, there just seems to be this idea that I don't know that they would be male, that somehow it's all about sex, that somehow there's something wrong with them. And actually, when you look at the erotic hypnosis community, the kind of consumers of that or the people within it, it is a hugely diverse, you know, it's as you've got every, you know, people from all over the world who have all kinds of jobs, at all kinds of education levels, all kinds of genders, identify in so many different ways. And yet they share this passion for hypnosis. That's the thing that brings them together. And that's the thing actually that makes that particular community so absolutely amazing, you know, to kind of work with and to be part of. I know I go and teach to the erotic hypnosis communities because I'm passionate about hypnosis too. And I want it to be taught well and people to know how to use it well and to know how amazing it is. And, you know, I think sometimes, you know, people that just see it as this bad thing, you know, they just see it as a predatory thing, where actually, you know, couples, I work with a lot of couples that use hypnosis together and they have the most amazing time, you know, for long distance relationships, it's a wonderful thing.
I mean, I was in a long distance relationship for a long time and I can tell you it's a lot better when hypnosis is involved.
And it's just, you know, it's just such a positive thing. It's just such a feel good thing in general, hypnosis, isn't it? And it's not all about, you know, therapy, you know, it's a lot of it's about fun stuff and suggestion and connection as well. There is nothing more connecting than hypnosis, you know. It's almost like a shared trance, isn't it? I do believe that all hypnosis is a shared trance. So it's although I know a lot of people are saying it's not trance and, you know, whatever, I like that word, so I'm sticking with it.
Me too.
So is there, you know, if there's a real takeaway about erotic hypnosis or hypnosis in general, what for you would it be? What would you like people to know?
Wow. I think for me, it's even though we all are here for erotic hypnosis, there's so much variety in what that actually means to different people. A lot of people use it for different things. I always say most erotic hypnosis people can be categorized in two main categories. That's people who have a kink that is hypnosis and people who have a kink that can be achieved with hypnosis because it can't be achieved in the realms of possibility. But even within that, you have so many different categories. I mean, you go to any hypnosis convention, right? And there'll be classes on all kinds of stuff, on like bimbification, on BDSM, on what to do if you want to be empowered as a submissive, what happens if you're queer or a person of color, or that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I think my biggest takeaway is that there is so much diversity in the erotic hypnosis community. It means so many different things to different people. It's not all about sex. You know, we're not all seedy, creepy looking people who are total perverts locked in a dungeon somewhere. You know, we are regular, everyday people who do this because we have a passion for it, because we like it, and because it's fulfilling for us, you know. And a lot of, like you said, erotic hypnosis people have some of the best training. They know what to do. They think on their feet and they can improvise like nobody else. I've met so many amazing hypnotists in this community, and I think that erotic hypnosis should be given a chance, you know?
No, I agree. I think the more diverse and the more accepting that we become across the board of all kinds of hypnosis, and the more we learn from each other, and the more we collaborate and look, the more we'll expand our craft, really, the more we'll learn about hypnosis, and, you know, the more good will be done with it worldwide. You know, I think that's the really key thing. So you have a website which is Keep It Trancy, which is keep-it-trancy.com. You have also got a Twitter channel which is The Secret Subject, but there's no E in secret, is that right?
Yeah, unfortunately it was too long to say The Secret Subject, so I had to remove a letter.
Okay.
Twitter's silly.
It's a very, I know the same here. We've got at Trancing sheets for the same reason. You can have a secret E and a secret subject. I like that.
I know.
That's very fitting for you. If people want to get hold of you, is the website and the Twitter account the best way?
Yes.
Obviously, if they want to find you on YouTube, is that the same thing? The secret subject?
Absolutely, it's the secret subject on YouTube. Although if you go on my website, keepittrancey.com, you'll find lots of my safe for work hypnosis. So I do therapeutic on one side and erotic behind a membership link. You just have to sign up with your email. I've got all my contact details on there. I've got an email if anyone wants to contact me, or you can always message me again on Twitter, on YouTube, on all the contact forms on my website, or on Discord. So yeah.
Wonderful. Dylan, thank you so much for coming on and having this conversation on Trancing in the Sheets. You know, I think it's wonderful that we can start to get this more kind of collaborative working moving forwards between all aspects of hypnosis, and your reputation within the erotic hypnosis community is absolutely outstanding. You know, you're so well thought of. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful experience.
Wonderful. And if you're enjoying everything that you've seen here today on Trancing in the Sheets, then, you know, join the network. We are the Hypnosis 247 Live Network. There are 8 hosts on there. We're covering a wide range of topics, many different aspects and areas of hypnosis and life as well. It's not all hypnosis. We're talking about all kinds of things. One of whom is the amazing Shawn Michael Andrews, the world's fastest hypnotist. And if you want to know about hypnosis for entertainment, rapid inductions in many different settings, and just generally performance, whether that's a clinical performance, a stage performance, and maybe some of this stuff will even pass over to some people that, you know, are using erotic hypnosis and having a more of a performance aspect in that, then join his show. It's a really interesting watch. So thanks ever so much for joining us on Trancing in the Sheets, and I'll see you next time.
Get ready.